Hello, welcome to Class Time, your daily classroom for CSEC students. You can watch this lesson in real time on Television Jamaica's YouTube channel on One Spot Media. Send in your questions to Television Jamaica's Facebook page at Television Jamaica or Instagram at television_Jamaica or use the hashtag TVJClassTime. Today in CSEC English, we'll be looking at the newspaper report. I'm Nicola Bailey Blackstock. Now, today we'll be looking at writing news reports. Now, why do you think we need to write news reports, right? You may think that you are not a reporter, so why would you need to write news reports? Now, we have to consider what CSEC requires of us, right? And we are still on the paper 2, right? And we are looking at informative discourse. So we looked at summary writing, right, which is under informative discourse, and we are continuing under informative discourse, and we're looking at the newspaper report. Now, this would normally come under section B of your paper 2. Now, we have to consider that we do not know what will be asked of you to do, right? So you have to learn everything and be prepared for everything so that you will know what to do. All right. Now, as I said before, we'll be looking at writing news reports. Now, you might be wondering, what is a news report, right? And who are the persons who may write news reports? Not to worry. All right, but before we get to that, we're going to be looking at today's lesson objectives. Now, at the end of this session, you should be able to state what is a news report, label the parts of a news report, apply the who, what, when, where, why, and how writing technique, write an effective lead, develop competency in writing by producing a news report. All right, now, that is an activity for you to just get your brains going a little. All right, so the instruction says, unscramble the following words. So these are all words, and they are all related to the topic that we'll be doing today, writing news reports. Now, look at it and tell me how many of these words are you able to unscramble. 3 seconds just to do that. All right. How many of you were able to get all of them? All right, let us look at what these words actually are. Were you able to guess them? Right, so the first one, news. The second one, report. Third, article. Fourth, newspaper. And if you were able to get all of them, very good. And if you weren't, not a problem. Right? There'll be other chances for you to get all of them. All right. Now, we want to know what is a news report, why we write news reports. All right. What is a news report? News reports are found in newspapers, and their purpose is to inform readers of what is happening in the world. News reports have a certain structure that you need to follow. This structure is sometimes called the inverted pyramid. Now, I want to look at this specifically, right? Now, here it says news reports are found in newspapers, and their purpose is to inform readers of what is happening in the world. Now, I can safely say that not many students take the time to write or to read the newspaper, but you should. Right? You should. Now, we are all caught up with social media. So anything that we want to know, we have social media at our fingertips. But it would be good just to get ourselves immersed in the Gleaner, for example. Right? Very good source of information. News. Very good. Now, my preferred source of news is the Gleaner, as I mentioned. I grew up reading the Gleaner. Now, we need to know what is happening in the world, right? And we might be in a situation where we are asked to write a news report, for example, for your CSEC exam. So we need to know how to write news reports. Now, here it says it's for us to be able to know what is happening in the world, right? News reports have a certain structure that you need to follow. Now, if you're going to be writing the news report, there must be a structure. Just as there was a structure for writing the summaries, there's also a structure for writing news reports. Now, you follow the structure and you can't go wrong. You will know exactly what to do and when. All right. So they have a particular structure. News reports have a particular structure. This structure is sometimes called the inverted pyramid. And you hear the word inverted pyramid and you're saying, but it's English. Where does inverted pyramid come from? We're still doing English, right? And we're going to be looking at what this inverted pyramid is all about. And here we have it, the inverted pyramid structure. Now, this inverted pyramid structure is just showing you how it is that the news report is supposed to be constructed. That's just it, right? Now, many persons or many students want to say, why you use the word inverted? Just say upside down now. Okay, then fine. If you want to say upside down, not a problem, right? But the correct terminology would be the inverted pyramid. But as I said, if you want to say upside down, just to remember, not a problem. All right. So, writing the news report. So we understand that the news report is usually found in the Gleaner, right? So we're not looking at the news report that comes on TVJ. No, we're not looking at that one. We're looking at the one that is specifically found in the Gleaner. All right. Now, we're looking at the different structure and how the news report is laid out when we are supposed to be writing it. All right. Now, here we have the most important facts, right? This section answers all 5 W's and is specific. And this section is the lead, right? Pay attention to that. This is called the lead. And we're going to find out what all of these are, the lead, the body, and the conclusion. All of this will be explained to you. Don't worry about that. Then we have the body, right? And this is telling you what the body of the news report is going to consist of, right? The body of the news report explains how the story happened, right? It includes quotations from speakers connected to the story, right? The conclusion now, least important facts, right? And when you hear the word conclusion, you put together, you think that it is coming to an end, and you're correct, right? Conclusion, summing things up, wrapping things up, coming to a finale, all right? Here, as I mentioned before, least important facts. No new information. All questions have been answered. Concludes with one sentence about the future of this story. So this is the inverted pyramid structure, or it's a term, the upside down pyramid, right? That is telling us how the news report should be structured. Now we're going to be looking at what all of these terms mean. Lead, body, conclusion. I know some of you may not have heard this before, the lead. We are going to learn about this now. All right. Now before we get to that, we have to take certain things into consideration, right? Because we have a certain things are supposed to be constructed in a particular way, and these are some of the things that CSEC is looking for, right? So we cannot skip over these things. We have to bear these things in mind. All right. Now, when writing your news report, we should consider these things. The tone must be factual and informative. No opinions of the reporter are allowed, right? So if I am the one who is writing the report, I was not there, right? Or I may have been there, but I did not get to see everything. Do not include how you feel. That is not what we're looking for. We're just looking for the factual information. So no opinions of the reporter are allowed. Specific details must be included to make the story clear, right? So stick to the specifics. So one thing that we need to consider, the news report is supposed to be short and to the point. So we don't want any lengthy things or things that are not relevant to the story. The language must be formal, no slangs, right? It should sound academic, right? So what do we mean when I say it must sound academic. No slangs, all right? No, my youth did do this and my youth did do that. No, right? Remember, it said the language must be formal. Bear that in mind. So no slangs, no Jamaican Creole or no patois. You can when it comes to the quotation section, but when you're writing the factual part of it, the language must be formal. Pretend as though, say you're writing to your principal. Bear that in mind. How would you talk to your principal? Would you talk to your principal as though you're talking to your friend? No, you would not. So bear in mind, pretend as though you're writing to your principal, so that will help you to remember that it should be formal. All right? Write in the third person. Told from someone who was not involved. All right? So the third person point of view here, right? You may not have been there, right? And you are the one who is getting the information from another source. So that would mean that you are the third person. You are writing from someone else's perspective. Must include the speaker's first and last name. So whoever is giving a statement or a witness and you're interviewing the witness, in your news report, you could write, or you should write, the speaker's first and last name. But we have to consider that some persons do not want their names to be mentioned. So you could either change the name or just mention that this person did not want to be mentioned. Must explain who the speaker is in relation to the story. No personal pronouns, I, we, me, or our, right? Now, remember we said that it is written in the third person. If it is written in the third person, you cannot use first person pronouns. Do you understand? So, it is written from the third person, so these pronouns would not be applicable. Include short paragraphs, 3 to 4 sentences in length. Now remember, the news report is short. Think of the paper or the Gleaner, as I mentioned, when you're looking at the paper, say for example, the headline. And the headline for the Gleaner is usually catchy, right? And when you look at it, you realize that most of the information or the news report is on half of the page. Now think of that. If it can hold on half of the page, it simply means that the information is to the point. So it means that you limit how much you write. All right, but just ensure that you stick to the specific and factual information. All right, so we're getting into the meat of it now. So a news report includes the following: a headline, a photo, a byline, a placeline, a lead paragraph. Remember that word that we saw before, lead, here it is, body paragraphs, and quotations. Now, all of these things, you might be wondering what these things are and why do we need to include these things and why the name's so funny. We're going to figure that out. All right, headline. And we should know when we hear the term headline, what it means, what comes to your mind. It is the title of the article. It should be catchy and grab the attention of your readers. For example, COVID-19 pandemic. Aren't we going through a pandemic, right, where we have to be wearing our masks and sanitizing? Yes, right? So it's catchy. Another catchy one, mosquitoes take over Portmore. Is that catchy enough? Can you think of any other headline that would be catchy? Think of them and write them down. Remember, we're practicing. Practice becomes perfect. Photo. The photo will relate to the headline of the news report, illustrating characteristics of the story. And here we have my favorite newspaper, The Gleaner, right? Now, when you look at it, school days, and look at how the word days is spelt. D-A-Z-E, right? Very good. Now, when you see that the words in bold over the picture, obviously it is a picture of the school, right? It grabs your attention, right? It grabs your attention. So the photo is important. All right, the byline. A byline is the name of the person who wrote the report. It should be located before the actual report. So remember that the byline is the name of the person who wrote the report. Placeline. This is where the report was written. The place the report was written depends on where the incident took place. Lead paragraph. Now, that is what the word that we saw in the beginning, and we might have been a little bit unfamiliar with it. All right, so the lead. This is the first paragraph of the article. In the lead paragraph, you must include the 4 W's. Who? Who was involved in the incident? What? What exactly happened? Where? Where did it happen? When? When did it happen? Right? So the lead, this section, should answer these 4 questions. If it does not answer these 4 questions when you're writing it, then you have to revisit and see where you went wrong. All right? Simple lead paragraph. Yesterday, Mary James was shocked to find a crocodile in her backyard in Portmore. Note that in the above lead, there is the who, what, where, and when. So let us see how, if we can find the who. Who? Mary James. What? Crocodile. Where? Backyard. When? Yesterday. Right? So all those questions were answered in the lead. So this is where we are going. All these 4 questions must be answered, right? So when you write your lead, you ask yourselves these questions. And if you're able to answer them from your lead, then you are on the right track. All right, body paragraphs. So we are paragraph 2, right? This explains how and why the incident happened, right? So these are other questions that you're going to ask yourself. This is specific to paragraph 2, how and why the incident happened. Paragraph 3. In this paragraph, you will need to include at least 1 quotation from someone who was part of the incident and who was interviewed for the report, right? So what do you think is happening here? When we include a quotation here, right, from someone who was there, what do you think we're attempting to do, right? We're trying to make our information or the news report more factual, right? Because we got someone first-hand information, right, from someone who was actually there. Maybe it was the actual person's yard where the crocodile was found. All right, paragraph 4. In the last paragraph, you will include any additional information the reader may want to know. Quotations. And you might ask, what are quotations? But at this level, you should not be asking what quotations are. All right? But just to refresh, quotations are statements given by people connected to news events. For example, an eyewitness, the investigating officer, a neighbor, etc. must use double quotation marks around the words that are spoken. All right? Now we're going to be looking at how to write a quotation, right? Now, here it is showing you how to write a quotation, right? So here it says, after the car accident, Police Chief Joe O'Malley said, "Jane is very lucky to be alive. We have never seen such a demolished vehicle before." Now, if we look at all the different boxes, they are pointing to different sections, right, of this quotation. So over here, we have quotation marks around the spoken words, right? Now, when we come back, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we'll continue. Welcome back to class time. Now, before the break, we were looking at how to write a quotation. Now, as it relates to writing the news reports, I wouldn't say you must have a quotation, but if you are going to include a quotation, you should know how to write the quotation. And here it is showing you how it is that you go about writing the quotation. Now, I'm going to read the sentence again, or the quotation again. After the car accident, Police Chief Joe O'Malley said, "Jane is very lucky to be alive. We have never seen such a demolished vehicle before." Now, the different sections of this quotation, they are all labeled, right? Now, if we realize here, so sorry about that. If we realize that the quotation, it says quotation marks around the spoken words. So we place quotation marks around the actual words spoken by the witness, right? And then explanation of who the speaker is and how they are connected to the story. So we're writing our quotation and we just say police. Police who? What is the policeman or woman's name, right? So we would include that because this would give us some insight as to how credible the information is, maybe. All right, so explain who the speaker is and how they are connected to the story. Next, speaker's first and last name. Now, here it is, the speaker's last name. It is police chief. He's a police chief, and his name is Joe O'Malley, right? Now, remember I said to you before that, yes, it would be good, or it is suggested that you include the speaker's first and last name. But then we have to take into consideration that certain persons, or some persons, sorry, do not want their names to be mentioned, right? So you could either write, say, for example, Jane Doe or John Doe, or just simply mention that the person did not want their names to be included. All right? All right. Now we have an entire article, and it is all labeled for us to be able to understand, or for you to be able to understand. All right? Now, news report, and here it states it is an example. Headline, car thief caught trapped in target vehicle. Right? Byline, Jim Day, staff reporter, Wednesday, February 25, 2009. Place line. Remember, the place line is where the incident took place. And in this case, it is in Canberra. And Canberra is located in Australia, right? Lead. Remember, what should we have in the lead? What are the 4 questions that we should ask in the lead, right? Remember the W's. Who, what, where, when, right? A bungling Australian car thief was nabbed after accidentally locking himself in the vehicle he was trying to steal, police said Wednesday. Now let us look at this lead, right? Did all the W questions, or were all the questions answered, right? All the W questions, were they answered? Right? Now, when we look at the lead, remember, the lead, right, should catch the reader's interest, right? It should include the most important information, introduces the topic, and as it says, answers most of the 5 W's, right? Body. Police were called to a house in Adelaide after 2 thieves were heard trying to steal a car. On arrival, they were surprised to find a 53-year-old man hiding inside the vehicle. The man, while breaking into the car, had locked himself in the car and couldn't get out, South Australian police said. Adding, a second thief was found hiding in nearby bushes. All right, so this is the quotation. And the quotation here, if we notice, the actual spoken word, it is in quotation, meaning that these are the words that the person actually spoke, right? Now, the body gives additional information, expounds on the lead, right? So if we look at the lead, a bungling Australian car thief was nabbed after accidentally locking himself in the vehicle he was trying to steal, police said Wednesday, right? Now, this gives us a synopsis, right, of what happened, but the body expounds on what happened. Now, remember that we want to keep the information concise, right? We don't want to expound or add information that is not necessary. All right, let's try it on our own. All right, so we're brainstorming, right? And the information is here. Who? The Queen's School. What? Receives award. Where? St. Andrew, Jamaica. When? Yesterday. Why? Cleanest school compound. How? By disposing of garbage correctly. Right? So we're brainstorming. So these are the questions that you would answer. And this should be located where? Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 W's. Where should the 5 W's go? What are the... Where would we find the answers to these 5 W's? Do we remember? If we don't remember, it's the lead. So remember the 5 W's, right? Who, what, where, when, and why should be answered in the lead. All right. School receives award. So we were brainstorming. So what you saw before was the information, right? And we're going to be using that information to write the news report. So we are practicing now. All right, so school receives award, right? S. Brown, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Yesterday, the Queen's School located in St. Andrew received an award for cleanest school compound. The students of the school maintain a clean compound by placing their garbage in the appropriate bins. The award was presented by the Ministry of Education, who gives out 3 such awards a year. Principal of the Queen's School, Miss Jennifer Williams, said, "I'm so proud of the students. They were dedicated. I am thrilled to have won this award." Student Jessica Smith said, "Every morning we spent 15 minutes picking up the litter from the compound." Students plan to continue to keep the school compound clean. Now, if you realize that I did not label this news report, and I did it deliberately. Now, remember, I gave you the information before. We brainstormed and we answered who, what, where, when, why, right? And how, right? All of that information was given. Now, this was done to help us to construct the news report, right? So you should know where everything should go. All right. Now, here it is. I have labeled it, and I did it this way deliberately. Headline, school receives award. Byline, S. Brown. Placeline, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Lead paragraph. Yesterday, the Queen's School, located in St. Andrew, received an award for cleanest school compound. Now, let us look at the lead. Were the 5 questions answered? 5 W questions answered. Who, what, where, when, why, right? If we look at it, we would determine, yes, where was it, where did it happen? Yesterday. Where? The Queen's School. Why? Because they had the cleanest school compound. What did they receive? Or what happened? They received an award, right? So all the 5 W's were answered in the lead. All right, so body paragraphs now. The students of the school maintain a clean compound by placing their garbage in the appropriate bins. The award was presented by the Ministry of Education, who gives out 3 such awards a year. Students plan to continue to keep the school compound clean. Quotations. Miss Williams said, "I am so proud of the students. They were dedicated. I am thrilled to have won this award." Student Jessica Smith said, "Every morning we spent 15 minutes picking up the litter from the compound." Now, if we realize, looking at the quotation and based on what we learned about quotations, we realize that it is only the spoken word that is in quotations, right? All right. Now, did we get enough practice, right, doing this on our own? We know what it is that we need to do, what we should include in the byline, in the headline, in the place line, what we should include in the lead, the 5 W's. Remember that we should answer all the 5 W's in the lead, and what we should include in the body paragraphs, right? So remember, the lead is a synopsis of the story, but the body expounds, right, on what was mentioned in the lead. Remember. All right. Work at home time. So this is your time to work from home. So we're going to be practicing how to write our own news reports. All right. Now, instructions. Remember, read your instructions. Now, we're going to read the article below. Fill in the elements of a news report chart on the next page, right? Students grow flying sauce. Jim Wilkes, science reporter. Toronto. In the cult movie classic Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, mutant vegetables cut a deadly swath through the community, consuming everyone in their path. But Canadian astronaut Bob Thirsk says Toronto students cultivating tomato seeds from space shouldn't worry about imitating art. It should be life imitating art. There should be no fear on the part of teachers or parents about any toxic fruit growing from these tomato plants, said Thirsk, who flew aboard the shuttle Columbia on a 17-day mission in 1996. He said he'll eat tomatoes produced from the high-flying seeds or use them to make salsa or ketchup. Thirsk visited students in St. Cecilia Catholic School on Annette Street yesterday to check up on their experiments with tomato seeds taken into space by astronaut Mark Gnu. The Tomatosphere project involves 2,500 secondary school classrooms across Canada growing 400,000 seeds, half of which made the trip to space. Space plants are said to grow faster and taller. The space-flown seeds made 170 orbits of the Earth, traveled more than 7 million kilometers, and spent 12 days weightless, Thirsk said. At the end of June, schools will send results of their experiment to the Canadian Space Agency, which will compile the data and make conclusions. Thirsk said the program is designed to introduce space science to young Canadians. I can see that in these classrooms, we have potential future Canadian scientists and astronauts, he said. I find that incredibly exciting. Now, all of what we learned before, right, was just teaching you to get to here. Now, what we want to learn how to dissect the different parts of the news report. And this is the news report that we're going to be dissecting. Now, when we do this, it gives you a better understanding of what you should have in each section. Now, the lead, right, or before we get to the lead, the headline, that catchy phrase, right, that draws you to the news report, right, the byline, the name of the reporter, right, the lead, right, that one section that tells you or gives you a synopsis of what the news report is going to be about. Then we have the body, and then we have the quotations that are included in the body. Now, we're going to be doing the activity now, right? So we looked at the news report before, and we're going to be completing this, right? So here it says, fill in all the elements of the news report based on the previous article. Now here's the table, element, definition, and from the article. So this tells us what you are expected to do. So here it tells you all the elements of the news report, and it gives you the definition of each element, right? Now here are some empty slots that you're expected to fill in. Now, headline catches your attention, sums up the story. Here it is giving you an example as to what to do, right? So the headline, students grow flying sauce. Did you see that? Right? That was the headline. And it's really catchy because when I saw it, I was like, students grow flying sauce? I want to read it to see what it is all about. All right. Byline. Writer's name. Writer's writer's specialty. Example, sports, food, crime, current events. All right. Now we're going to be looking at what was the name of the person that wrote this. Do we remember? Let us go back. All right, so we're just recapping, just getting in the groove to get everything going, right? All right, so I want to go back to that slide where we have the activity. We're getting there, not to worry. All right, so we want to know who is the person who wrote this report, right? Do we see it? Jim Wilkes, science reporter, right? So we're going to complete that section. So it is asking us, who is the writer? What is the byline? And the byline here all right, so we're completing it, right? Placeline, where the story begins. Do you remember? What was the placeline? Where was all of this taking place? I remember. Do you? So placeline. Anybody remembers? Toronto. All right. So we're getting there. Lead. The opening section gives the most important information, should answer most of the 5 W's. All right? Now, what was in the lead, right? Now, you would go back and look at all the information that was located in the lead. You should be able to identify the lead in the news report. All right? Body. Here it tells you what the body is. Supplies detail. Most important details come first. Right? And here it is asking you to circle the paragraphs in the body, right? That is for you to do. Circle the paragraphs that you find in the body, right? And remember what the body does. It expounds on the lead, all right? Facts. Simple true statements. Underline 4 facts in the article. Do you remember 4 facts from the article? What are the 4 facts from the article? Anybody remembers? Right? Let's look at it here. That the fact that the seeds made 170 orbits of the earth, that's one. Another one, can we find them? The project involves 2,500 secondary school classrooms. So these are all the things that you are expected to do, locate the facts. And remember what facts are? Facts are things that can be proven to be true or false. So you should be able to identify the factual information and write them in the slot. All right, final one, quotation. What someone actually said adds accuracy, adds at the scene feeling, right? So you would input the quotations that you find here in this section. And this is just to help you to understand what you are expected to do when you're writing your news report, right? So remember, practice makes perfect, all right? So look at the article, look at the table, complete it, and then you will have an understanding as to what it is that you need to do. All right, we're going to our final break. When we come back, we continue to look at the newspaper report. Welcome back to our lesson today in CSEC English. Now, remember when we left for the break, or before we left for the break, we were looking at the table, and the table was just showing us the different sections, breaking down the different sections, and helping you to understand better what it is that you're required to do, right? So these sections were left out so that you could go back to the report and fill in the necessary information in the blank spaces. Now, were you able to do that? Did you get everything? Go back and double check, right? So you have to double check to ensure that you are on the right track. Remember, we want to have perfect news report writers. That is our aim, right? So giving you the breakdown is helping you to be able to write the news report properly. All right. Now look at this one. Students raise money for a good cause. Now what this is doing is giving you a breakdown as well, right? Helping you to brainstorm. Now before you actually start writing your news report, you need to have a plan. Remember, it is good to have a plan so that when you have your plan properly laid out, then when it's time for you to write, you will write easily because you had your plan before. So this would be your plan. Now, this picture would have been given to you, and then this is how you go about planning the news report. Now, here it says, students raise money for a good cause. That's a good thing, isn't it? Right? It's good when students help. Very good. Now, writing a news report is easy as 1, 2, 3. It is. If you follow these steps, then it is easy as 1, 2, 3. All right. Step 1, start planning. Look at the picture. What is happening in this picture? How can you connect the picture to the headline? In your rough notes, answer some or all of the following questions. Who, what, where, when, why, how. Then add quotes, more information. Think of a catchy lead paragraph. Step 2, create a story, right? Write a byline, create a placeline, create a catchy lead paragraph. Write the body in third person. Remember, you're writing in not just the body, the entire thing. Write in the third person. Remember, you are writing from someone else's perspective. Pretend that you weren't there, right? And you're writing as if you weren't there and someone else is telling you the information, right? Third person. So when you're writing in the third person, remember, we don't use first person pronouns like I and we and me and our, no, right? So we use like they and so on when we're writing from the third person, remember. All right, write the body in not 1 to 3 paragraphs, but 3 to 4 paragraphs, right? Don't pay attention to that part, right? Because remember, one sentence cannot be a paragraph or cannot be considered a paragraph. So it's 3 to 4 sentences, right? So you write the body, yes, 1 to 3 paragraphs, but remember that one sentence, as I said before, cannot be a paragraph, right? And remember, stick to the point, stick to the factual information, the important information. Do not include your opinions. Don't go on and on and on. Just include relevant information and you're good to go. All right. Be ensured to include a quotation. And you remember what a quotation is? We looked at that extensively. When in doubt, just go back to your notes. Print neatly and legibly. Remember that, right? We want to be able to see what it is that you're writing. So write legibly or write clearly so that we can understand. All right, so we're going to be helping each other now with our rough notes. So here it says, students raise money for a good cause. All right, so we're planning. And remember, we said that planning is very, very important. Now, we have the picture here. And we have the what is happening? Students raise money for a good cause. But that doesn't sound catchy to me, right? I cannot come up with catchy phrases, but I know that you can, or catchy headlines, and I know you can. So you would change this out and create a catchy headline, right? But remember, it should focus on the fact that these students raised money for a good cause. All right, so our rough notes. In this, students raise money for a good cause. Who are the ones who raise the money? Who raised the money? Right? Who raised the money? Students. Right? So we're making our plan. Right? We're planning. Very good. And the next one, what? What would you put here for what? Right? Right? Raise money for a good cause. Then, when? Think of when. When do you want it to happen, or when did it happen? All right. When? The other one? Where? Kingston. This is just my example. Anywhere you want it to happen, that is up to you, right? This is just my example. Why? All right. Now, when you have your plan, it should resemble something like this. Remember, answer the questions. Have a plan. In order for us to be able to write the news reports effectively, we should have a plan. So we go ahead and we answer these questions. And you see here it says rough notes. So based on all that we have learned as it relates to writing the news reports, we should be able to go through, answer these questions, and then we would be good to go. Now, how? When we look at how, I did not write it on the board, right? But where would you find how? When we were looking at everything, what should you include, or where was the information about how? Where would that come out, right? So the how would come out in the body paragraphs after the lead, right? Now, it is always good to have a plan, right? So remember something that we need to consider when we're writing our news reports. We need to have a headline, a byline, a placeline, right? Or body, right? Quotations, include quotations. What else do we need, right? Stick to the factual information. No slangs, remember, right? So we need to be clear. Writing the news reports, go through everything that we have done today. Everything is there for you. You have the plan. You have everything laid out for you. Follow everything and you will be good to go, right? Remember, everything should be done accurately. Remember, stick to the factual information. Do not include unnecessary information. Stick to everything that we have done today and you will be on the right track. So everything that we have done is on the right track to help you to writing an excellent news report. So when we come back next week, we should have, or I should be seeing all the excellent news reports that you have written, right? Remember all the conventions that we learned today, right? So based on all of these things, we should write excellent news reports. So I'm looking forward to all of that. So that's all the time we have. We've been discussing the newspaper report. You can catch the rebroadcast today on JNN at 5 p.m. Keep safe, wash your hands regularly, sanitize, and wear your mask.
Hi there, I'm Simon Preston from TVJ. Thank you very much for watching our YouTube channel. To see our latest videos and also to see live events, click here. To see our full videos on onespotmedia.com, click here. Thank you very much for watching.